from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today, I'm very pleased to have with me Josh. Josh is dialing from Texas, the US. Josh, thank you very much for being on the show. The way I like to do is I keep it to the guest to introduce themselves because no one can introduce anyone better than themselves, in my opinion. So the floor is yours, Josh.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on the show. Excited to be here and be another international guest on an international podcast. So super thrilled about that. But yeah, as you said, my name is Josh Cunningham. I'm the founder and CEO of Rokrbox. That's spelled a little strange. It's Rokrbox. And we are a done-for-you inside sales assistant solution in the real estate space. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. So we've been doing this for just over a decade. But essentially what we do is help real estate agents all across the United States and Canada follow up with internet leads. So I kind of came across this problem in the real estate space just over a decade ago, where a bunch of real estate agents and real estate teams would invest a lot in PPC to drive traffic to their website. And then, of course, their website would give them the opportunity to browse and search for homes. And after clicking around on a couple pictures, the squeeze would pop up. And of course, force that person who's browsing on their site to create a free profile so that they could look at those homes. And what was happening, I saw this a long time ago, is all these real estate agents and teams were busy with their day-to-day functions and, working with their hot buyers and sellers and, showing properties and negotiating contracts. And it left a big void in their business for someone to follow up with all these people that were on their website. And I was actually working for a marketing firm in the real estate space, traveling the country, going to all these different real estate seminars and events and masterminds. And every room that I was in, I heard this exact same frustration. And so, like any good entrepreneur, when you hear of a problem, you think, hey, let me come up with a solution to that, and I'll have a very thirsty audience for this solution. And so that's exactly what I set out to do. Like I said, I started the business back in 2013. And essentially, the goal was to figure out how to follow up with these internet leads in a systematic way using, of course, technology to create efficiencies in the work that we do. But it was still very much a human element to it. Lots of phone calls, lots of text messages, lots of emails to talk to these leads and figure out where they were in the buying process. Some of them were just nosy neighbors and Scooby-Doos and people kicking tires, but about 10% of the traffic that was landing on their website and registering actually had an interest in buying or selling real estate. And so, we figured out ways to call them systematically, text them and email them, and highlight those few people that were actually motivated and needed the expertise of a real estate agent. And so that's where the name Rokrbox comes from. It's an old gold mining tool that they used to use to separate sand and gravel from gold. And so we use that analogy when we think of people's internet leads, because there's a lot of sand and gravel and dust and dirt. If you're familiar with any type of sales funnel where you're, casting a wide net online and driving traffic to your website, there's a lot of people that aren't interested, but those few people that are essentially flakes of gold. Those are where the sales are made. Those are where the commission checks get paid. And that's what we do is we follow up with these internet leads and pass off the warm golden nuggets to our clients. And then, of course, they're able to spend their time focused on working with highly motivated buyers and sellers and help them realize their real estate dreams and get those offers made and those deals signed and those homes sold.
Love that. And I love the anatomy that you made about, the gold. Now, let me ask you, Josh, out of curiosity, and just question popped up in my head now.
Yeah.
Does this something, this methodology, it work with real estate, but do you think it can work with something else, like anything that requires a sales funnel?
Absolutely. We're actually working with teams in the mortgage industry as well. And there's a lot of other ancillary businesses that align really well with real estate, insurance, title, home services, like when someone moves from home to home, getting someone to transfer all their services over. So we've kind of niched down in the real estate space because it made it really easily scalable for us.
Mm-hmm.
We learned a couple different technology platforms or CRMs that are specific to real estate, and so that's what made our business so easy to grow and scale. Is we focused on making a really good quality phone conversation, and then we just learned the back end technology that all these real estate professionals are using. So whether someone's selling real estate in South Carolina or South Dakota, or Nebraska or North Carolina, the technology is the same, the conversation's the same. And so, literally, the way our office is set up is we just have terminals logged into our client's CRM, and we're going from station to station, working those leads and having that exact same conversation. So, yes, we have worked with some other industries and seen some need for this in other spaces. Over the last 10 years, though, we've really just focused on just the real estate space. And so it's been a very lucrative business, but like any good business, you always got to be, have some foresight into what's going on in the future and, looking for ways to pivot and, deliver those services to other people. But absolutely, whether you're selling homes or whether you're selling flowers or an online course, a sales funnel is something that's very important to understand. And the first step is obviously to drive the traffic to the website. The next step is to capture that lead, but then the sort of our specialty is nurturing those prospects until they're actually ready to convert the sale. And so that's where a lot of people drop the ball in a lot of industries, car sales industries, again, insurance, you name it. Anybody who's generating leads, it doesn't matter who I'm talking to. In fact, I was just talking with our university, a local university. We're located here in College Station, which is home to Texas A&M University. And I was just talking with a gentleman from their fundraising department, and he was saying the same thing. Hey, we've got all these leads, and nobody's following up with them. And so that's the name of the game is just getting in front of people, having good conversations, assessing what their needs and motivation is, and then figuring out how you can prescribe a solution based upon the expertise that you have. So transcends every single industry that's out there.
100%. And to your point, Josh, like, yeah, if you have hot leads, man, people, they pay money to get them. So if you have them, you have to act on them very fast and as quick as possible. Now, one of the things when you start to tell the story, and you said like you find a problem. So you knew that you are onto something.
Yep.
But I'm sure like also the road was not that easy, right? So I'm sure like you have faced some challenges and, like, okay, we know that there's a problem. We need to find a solution, but there were challenges, I'm sure, down the road. So what were these challenges and how you overcame them?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really great question. It's funny because nowadays, when you look at where we've come over the last 10 years, when you stop and take a look backwards at where you came from, it looks like all the dots connect, right? Hindsight's 2020, right? It looks like this nice gradual flow from beginning to where you're at now with the growth up and to the right on your graph, trajectory. But the reality
Yeah.
is that there's lots of ups and downs. There's lots of failures, and as a successful business and entrepreneur, you have to learn from not only your mistakes but learn from other people's mistakes. You have to find people that are doing what you want to do at a high level and invest in proximity to get around them. And so we've had lots of learning lessons along the way, and our at our core, we're really a human capital organization. Yes, we use technology to make our work more efficient and more streamlined. But at the end of the day, what we're really selling is a high quality phone conversation. And so when I first started the business, I had the foresight um, to start the business here in College Station, which, like I said, is home to Texas A&M University. And there's a lot of different people doing this type of work in the space, but nobody had yet really packaged a complete done for you solution in the States, right? A lot of the calls and stuff were coming from overseas. And so, I went to school at Texas A&M, and it's a very prestigious university. And I thought to myself, I could probably find some sharp and enthusiastic college students that have a degree of interest in whether it be sales or marketing or economics or industrial distribution, something that's related to learning these fundamental skills. And I could borrow their talents for the couple years that they're at school and train them on how to make phone calls, on how to manage CRMs, on how to overcome objections. And that would make it a winning formula because our clients would get really good quality phone calls and our callers would get real world experience that would accelerate their young professional development because they're not just going to class and studying the book and taking the test, but they're actually day in and day out talking to people all across the country, working with real estate teams all across the country, and building real tangible skills that set them up for success once they graduate and walk the stage. And most of our employees walk the stage with multiple job offers, or they skip entry level positions, or they get whatever internship program that they want. And so, I brag that over the last 10 years, we've hired and trained over 400 inside sales assistants, and they're all from Texas A&M. And, in a world where a college degree may not mean as much as it used to be, we're very proud that the experiences that they're developing while they're at Rokrbox are setting them up for success because they're actually learning these important skills. And so, one of the first challenges we had early on was, our biggest growth spurt, from conception to, really kind of taking the solution to the market was in the summer of 2015. And, we had hired up a bunch of employees, a bunch of staff from the university, and we trained up all these callers, and we started getting them to learn the scripts and the objection handlers and learn the technology. And we were really building an amazing culture, a highly competitive culture where people were learning from each other and, having some friendly competition with one another. And, something happened that September. It happens every September here in College Station, Texas. And for some reason, it caught me by surprise. But here in College Station, Texas, in September of that year, guess what happened? Classes started over again, right? And, a lot of these students had other obligations. They had,
Mm.
extracurricular activities. Here in Texas, football is practically a religion. So all the students want to go to the football games. And so overnight, 40%, 40% of my staff just poof, disappeared. And they all decided, hey, I've got other priorities. I got to get back to school. I've got these other classes going on. And so I was absolutely crushed and just devastated that, we had trained up all these people, we had built this fun, competitive environment, and now they were gone. And how was I going to replace them? And so, immediately you start looking for, fingers to point or someone to blame. And then finally, one day I saw them right there in the mirror. I took a hard look in the mirror and realized that this was a failure on our behalf as an organization to really demonstrate to our team members that this was the first step in their young professional career, and that the experiences and expertise that they were going to develop in this position was going to set them up for future success. And so from that point on, we really took a hard focus on making sure that we communicated that to our team members. And so we implemented a daily huddle. And so every shift when our team would come in, we would have a daily huddle, and we would, talk about the accomplishments of the previous day. We would, sharpen our skills and actually work on some of the scripts and hone our craft. And then we would have a moment where we would connect with each other and just have kind of a fun icebreaker, personal conversation about things that are interesting to us. And then the last piece of that huddle was the motivation factor, was setting the goals and making it known to our peers so that they could help us hold us accountable, and then also celebrate those victories. And so that was one of the most important tools that we implemented to our culture to really set the stage and let it be known that this work is important, that it's meaningful, and that if you put a lot into it, you're going to get a lot out of it. And that was one of the big turning points in our business, was really just that big turnover that we had, and realizing that that was a failure on our behalf as an organization, that we weren't communicating well enough, that this work, although it's not the most desirable work. People don't, wake up every day and dream of going into a call center and making a bunch of, cold calls all day. But we found a way to make that work fun and meaningful and fruitful and rewarding for everybody. And that's really been, the key to our success over the last 10 years, is having a really strong company culture where we celebrate people's success and we make sure that by the time someone leaves at the end of a shift, that they're a better version of themselves as well.
That's great. And actually, you answered the question that I have prepared about the culture. So, and I love when I see someone like you, Josh, who gives importance to the culture. And, because you did it on a large scale also as well. So we're not talking about just like 10 people or 20 people, like it's a large number of staff. And, we discussed this with a lot of guests and we figured out, or like, it's like there's a trend, but it seems like you broke this trend. When company start to grow above certain number of employee, things start to change and
Mhm.
politics comes in. So it's really, okay, you mentioned some of the things that you were doing, but like, is there anything also like can um, highlight on how business owners, founders, entrepreneurs, if they are going to have like large teams in the future, what they can do to keep this culture? Because, when they are small, yeah, like, we say they are family and, but at some stage, it's not like family anymore. Like you have maybe
Oh yeah.
1,000, 2,000 people. What's the secret sauce?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's actually one of my new well, not new passions. I've always been passionate about it, but it's a new project of mine. I'm launching a new mastermind group called Five Star Company Culture because looking back on the success that we've had, you got to obviously have systems in place, right, where you document your processes and you're able to duplicate the efforts and the results. You've got to have really good quality talent, to actually implement those systems and help improve them as well. But the foundation of it all, the base layer of building a huge business empire on is having a strong company culture. And the analogy that I use, I used to live in downtown San Diego, and I'd look out my high-rise apartment building and see them building skyscrapers on a daily basis. And the number one sign of how tall the building was going to be was how deep the hole they dug, because that's step one. And to me, that's company culture. You can't build a huge skyscraper on shaky ground. And so before I ever even made my first hire, I had very clearly defined what my company core values were. And, we say at Rokrbox, our purpose is to move people forward. And, it's obvious that we move people forward through the sales pipeline by calling the cold leads and warming them up. But the effect that that work has on the teams that we work with, it helps real estate professionals all across the country accelerate their careers because now they're working with warm leads instead of cold leads. And the team leaders that invest in our solution, they're able to leverage out this problem and to a team of experts so that they can focus on the things that help them grow and scale their business. And then again, our team members on a day-to-day basis are getting to sharpen their skills and build real world experiences. And so it's moving their life forward as well. And so everything that we do, it serves that purpose of moving people forward. And we have five core values that, like I said, I defined before I ever even made my first hire. They were derived from all the professional experiences that I had had, the good ones and the bad ones, right? What was it that if I'm going to show up to work every day and be around this group of people, what did I want those people to be like? And a company culture and your values should magnetically attract the right people and should magnetically repel the wrong people. There's no compromise. And so when it comes to making decisions about hiring, firing, rewarding, disciplining people, it always comes back to those core values. Is someone living in alignment of the values, or are they incongruent with those values? And so it makes it something that's bigger than each and every one of us. And I'm proud to say that the last 400 hires that we've made, we've selected the people that align with those values, and we've never had to terminate an employee because we have a really great interview process where we walk people through not only the work that we do, but who we are as an organization. And we give them a chance to actually come in and observe what we do before we make that job offer to them. And so we kind of flip the tables on them. So the last step in our interview process is to say, we'll do a phone interview, we'll do an in-person interview, but then we have them come in and be a part of what the work looks like for an hour. And then we send them home and we say, hey, send us an email. Let us know what you think. This is your interview of us, because we don't want to be tricking someone into joining the team. And we don't want someone to be, forcing that square peg into the round hole. We want someone to feel like we're cut from the same cloth, that they believe in what we believe. And that's how we can manage and grow and scale a business without having to just micromanage every detail. If you can attract people to your organization that believe in what you believe in as a leader, then those people are going to do the right thing when you're not looking and when you're not around and when there isn't necessarily a step-by-step process that's already been ironed out. And so that's really the key to it all, is having a five-star company culture. And it's been great because, like I said, I lived in San Diego for the last 5 years while the business remained in Texas. And I was only able to do that because, our culture gave me the freedom as an entrepreneur to go and enjoy life, with my wife and my kids and my family, out on the West Coast, and, check in on Zoom meetings. And in fact, a couple of years ago, when the whole world shut down, my wife and my daughter and I hopped in an RV and traveled the country and basically checked in with the business, a couple times a week through a phone call or a Zoom meeting, because we had established that winning company culture. And then, of course, that culture helped build the systems and attract the right talent to the organization.
Nice, fantastic. Like this triggered in me a question, because you talk a lot about culture, and when I see organization, they see, for example, they say we hire A players,
Hmm.
right? Now, I want to see how this A player mentality fits, or maybe it doesn't fit with the 5 star that you just talked about. What's your take?
Yeah, no, I believe that it should be every business's goal out there to hire A players. And you ask yourself, well, how is that possible? Because not everybody is an A player. But you know what? Your organization doesn't have to be everybody. We've all seen those mediocre businesses. We've all done business with a company that we immediately had buyer's remorse. We've all been in a situation where maybe the customer experience was not handled up to our standards, and that's because you're dealing with the business that is okay with hiring B and C players. But, it's just a commitment that you make as a leader and as an entrepreneur to determine that, these are the things that we want to have happen in our organization. And these are the things that we are not going to put up with. And again, A players are going to be attracted to an environment like that. I always say that, accountability is love, right? And that champions crave accountability. You think about the best of the best athletes in the world. Imagine if they were out to go and play a football game and there was no stripes painted on the field and there was no scoreboard up in the end zone keeping score and there was no clock, keeping the time. They would have a really hard time dealing with that because they're a true champion and they want to be measured and they want to be accountable and they want to put forth a good effort and they want to improve on that effort. So you're right. Not everybody is an A-type player, but let the other organizations hire the Bs and the Cs. It's no need to just settle for B and C players. You want to have the right type of people in your organization, and that's exactly what we've done at Rokrbox. Like I said, our talent pool is students from Texas A&M, whereas a lot of people, a lot of call centers, a lot of competitors in our space just look for the cheapest employee, right? Who's willing to do this work for the lowest hourly rate. And that's not what we're looking for. We're proud to pay our employees a very competitive market rate because we know that their talents are what help drive the success of the business. And again, the whole observation step in our hiring process, we probably eliminate 60% of the applicants that on a resume look good, on a phone interview look good, in person look good. But then when we actually show them, hey, this is the level of productivity that we're performing at. These are our standards. These are our expectations. And these are the values that we live by. 60% of them decide, hey, maybe that's too much. Maybe I was looking for something that didn't require so much, didn't demand so much. And that's great because they make that decision before we ever make the mistake of bringing them into our organization. And that's how we've been able to have such great employee retention and deliver such exceptional customer experiences because we're bringing the right people into the organization. So that's another tool that I highly recommend. It's been incredibly successful for us is have an observation in your hiring stage so that you're not just going off of the interview or the resume, because I mean, who's ever going to fill out a resume and put negative stuff on there? Nobody, right? You're gonna embellish and make yourself look as good as possible.
Right.
Who's ever going to show up to an in-person interview and be like, well, I mean, I don't really know if I want this job or not. No, everybody's always going to show you the best version of themselves. And so that's why we give people an observation to interview us and ask all the questions about what the expectations are, what the standards are, what the values are, then they self-select themselves. And it's great because one of two things will happen at the end of that observation. One, we'll never hear from them ever again, right? Some will send an email and say, "Hey, thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it." But most of them just lose contact from us. They're like, "Wow, these people are a bunch of, highly productive weirdos. I don't want anything to do with that." But the other thing that will happen is we'll get an email reply, and it's like a persuasive essay. I mean, it's paragraphs long of the things that they observed, the things that they're attracted to, the things that they see are going to fit and align with what they're looking for in a job, in a career. And they're basically convincing us that this is meant for them, that they've been waiting for this opportunity to arrive in their life. And so that's just another a thought to have is think about the opportunity, hopefully, that you're providing for people to grow as a professional. There's someone out there right now today that's either at some other job that they don't like, or they're in the market searching for something and they're thinking, man, I just wish there was something like this for me. And hopefully that can be you to provide that to that A player, that opportunity for them to really grow and shine.
Why not? Like this is why this show exists. And, I have a lot of, majority actually of the audience are based in the US. So I hope that someone is listening to this episode or they are watching us. Now, shifting a little bit gears, Josh, like kind of, you have the mix of real estate and tech, right? So you use tech a lot.
Yeah.
So how do what are you seeing, let's say, the trends in technology regarding real estate? Because, everyone talks about nowadays real estate tech or prop tech,
Yeah.
and do you think there will be any groundbreaking technologies that will disrupt the industry in the coming years?
Yeah, I mean, what we've seen over the last 10 years, a lot of it's fundamentals, right? Like having a website, having a capture form, and on the back end, having a CRM. And a lot of people invest, a really pretty penny into some of the most elaborate and expensive CRMs out there. And really the problem that we solve is not just using the CRM. Like you have to understand that the technology is meant to make your work more efficient, but there's still work involved. Right. And so in the world of real estate, the biggest myth is that real estate agents sell homes. They don't sell homes. What they sell is professional services, right? You're interrupting somebody's search for a property and offering services to help facilitate that transaction. And so there's a lot of, communication that has to come from the real estate agent about why they're the best choice for someone to trust their largest financial investment with you of all the other thousands or millions of realtors. And so, it comes down to utilizing the technology to make your work efficient. I always tell our clients all the time, you're not a robot, right? So use the technology to track your conversations, to record your notes, to have a history of your emails and your text messages. And a lot of these CRMs have been doing that for a very long period of time. Some of the evolution of the technology that we've seen is there's some AI now that's involved on the texting side. So that's another way to sort of leverage your time to lean on some technology so that you're not having to get stuck in the nitty gritty of, sending back and forth a bunch of text messages. Same thing with emails. I mean, drip campaigns have been out for a really long time, but people are using email campaigns to, again, communicate. The number one complaint that a customer ever has with a real estate agent is communication. They didn't communicate enough, right? So there's lots of ways, again, that you can lean on technology to make your job more efficient by having, AI, texting and having conversations with people, having some email campaigns built out that stay in communication and not just in the lead attraction and conversion state, but in the delivery, right? Once you get someone to be your client as a real estate agent, well, now you have to deliver everything that you promised. And a lot of that is communicating and staying in touch, right? About what's happening with the listing or what's happening with the offer, or what's happening with the negotiation. And so using technology to stay in constant communication with your clients it's really a fundamental element of good business. But yeah, we've seen a nice evolution of, people in this space that have leaned on some of the heavy CRMs to do that. In addition to that, obviously there's all sorts of virtual calling solutions. So one of the milestones in our business was when we were able to implement a live transfer. So, we're making phone calls all day long to these cold prospects, but there's actually technology now to when we get someone on the phone and they say, "Hey, I'm ready and motivated to buy," we can click a button and then the call will ring out to a group of agents. And so now you have all these agents that are out in the field or in the office or doing whatever, and their phone rings, and the first one who picks up the phone gets to connect to that lead, and then we pass it off to the agent. So it's just another shortcut that we've built into the shortcut business that we are using technology, and it's been absolutely revolutionary. Our clients are just a huge fan of it because it makes their job even easier because now instead of building this giant pile of leads that you have to follow up with, now all you have to do is answer your phone. And so that's been a huge technology upgrade in our space that we've seen over the last couple of years is the live transfer.
That's cool to know. And I hope like even Dubai is also like very active in real estate. So hopefully, if someone is listening or watching, they would get some ideas um, from this conversation also as well. Like Josh, like we almost coming to the end. So I like to focus a lot on entrepreneurship, right? And
Mhm.
whatever doesn't matter which vertical you are in. So entrepreneur for me is an entrepreneur. It's someone like has special traits. So in your opinion, what is? Let me ask it this way. So what is the traits? What are the traits of a successful entrepreneurs in your opinion? What makes it or break it? If I want to ask it like in a different.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different models for running a successful business, but most of them all agree that at the top, whether you call it the CEO, whether you call it the visionary, the founder, there has to be someone who has a vision for the company. And it has to be something more meaningful than just, solving a problem. Now, that's a really great way to make sure you have a sustainable product is you got to ask yourself, what problem am I solving? Right. And then what makes you unique in doing it, but having a vision for where the company's going. Because once you step into the world and you start solving a problem, the world changes, right? We keep moving, we keep rotating, we keep going around the sun. Technology keeps advancing, the consumer expectations keep changing. And so it's the ability to always stay a couple steps ahead of what's going on and have a vision for the future and then be able to communicate that vision to your people. And so, a lot of people again ask me, some of our existing team members right now talk to me and want insights about what it was like, for Rokrbox 10 years ago. And it's funny because looking back on it, you're like, well, in a way, I had to be a little crazy, a little insane to think of what was possible and what was capable. It was literally a hallucination. Now that the 400 employees that I have are living in, it was a hallucination of mine. It was this vision. It was this idea for what could be possible, and so the company now looks way different than when it did when it first started, but it's that drive and that determination. And like I said, being a little crazy, right? I mean, what is the definition of that? It's just thinking outside the box and thinking that something's possible that hasn't yet been proven. Having that faith and that belief in what you can do to make the world a better place. And so I think that's I'm a part of a lot of entrepreneurial mastermind groups and share a lot in common with many different people and many different industries. And I would say that's one of the most common denominator elements of a successful entrepreneur is they have the confidence to change the world as they see fit.
I think like it's challenging the status quo. It's um I look at it, like don't accept the world as you saw it the first time. Like try to see if you can push it to be a better place. This is at least the way I see, and I see like we share also the same thing. And a lot of my guests, like, and it's like very famous. The people who are crazy enough to believe they can change the world are actually the people who, right? So,
Exactly.
uh, yeah. So I'm a big believer in this, and um, I have a famous question which I end usually with. Is there anything, Josh, you wished I had asked you and how you would answer?
I guess the only thing I really didn't touch on is just, my drive, my purpose. I said my purpose is to move people forward, but really what
Yeah,
excites
please.
me, yeah, what excites me and gets me to get out of bed in the morning and work those extra hours is really just the legacy, and I met the love of my life 6 years ago. We're actually going to be celebrating our 5-year wedding anniversary this year, and actually just dropped off our daughter at the first day of school literally an hour
Oh,
ago. So it's just super fun and exciting to get to see how the things that I've learned in my life, the hard lessons, the failures, the perspectives that I've gained, to have the opportunity to pass that on to the next generation, just really tickles me to death. And so that's what I'm really excited and passionate about, is creating a world of opportunity for the next generation of my family. And that's just something that I get very excited about.
that's awesome. Fantastic, Josh. Like I love, the I can feel even remotely, the passion and what you're trying to do. And congratulations for like 10 years in business and keeping, this company culture. Really, it's fantastic, amazing. And this is why I love what I do also on the show, talking to people like yourself, Josh, who can inspire other people to achieve their dreams, go after their purpose, and leave the legacy and, leave the world better than, um, you know, how they find it when they came to this earth. So really appreciate, like I can see in there, I'm gonna write it in the description of the episode, like rokrbox.com. So this is the website. And I think people can connect with you on LinkedIn, right, Josh, as
Yeah,
well?
certainly. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
LinkedIn,
So I will put that link also as well. Yeah.
certainly. Yeah, and then our new site for our company culture mastermind that we're creating is fivestarcompanyculture.com. So feel free to check that out as well.
Okay, sure. I will put all this in the description of the episode, as I do as well in all the episodes. Well, like this was really nice conversation, Josh. I really enjoyed it. And, the way I end my episodes is going to the audience and telling them, thank you very much for all your feedbacks, your reviews. The show is going really in a global way that I didn't even expect it. So thank you very much for, tuning in. And, I'm going to keep, I'd always say thank you very much, because I promised myself, if I make one audience a day, someone, I don't know where, in Japan, in the US, in the UK, even one guy will listen to the show, I'm going to keep doing it. But thank you very much. The show is now exploding more than I expected. So thank you very much for your loyalty. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, any feedback, you know where to find me. You can send me a message on LinkedIn, where I'm most active. And if you are interested to be a guest like Josh, you have an inspiring story. And by the way, guys, CTO, it's not only about technology, it's entrepreneurship, it's startup, it's anything that can inspire other people. So please reach out to me. We can discuss it. We can arrange for it. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will meet again next episode. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Hit that subscribe button.